Hi again, welcome to Weird Writers. Writing is so easy. Just throw those words down on the page and watch them assemble. Boy, it sure is handy that neatly edited manuscripts just put themselves together, huh? Oh, they don't do that? Okay, so most of us need an editor. In fact, even if you don't need an editor, you need an editor. But that's a subject for another video. Fact is, any author can benefit from knowing how to use at least the most basic punctuation. There are so many more possible applications than just your manuscript. Author bios, summaries, query letters, blog posts, newsletters, tweets. Not having your editor ask, "What are you trying to say here?" on every single paragraph. One thing many of us struggle with when it comes to grammar and punctuation is the comma. Commas are notoriously tricky beasts. Where do they go? And when? How do you create a story without sounding like the classic lampoon of Shatner speak? Well, believe it or not, there is a very simple thing you can do to figure it out. It also applies to colons and semicolons, so I'll go over those as well. 3 for the price of 1. What a deal! So let's begin by recapping these 3 punctuations, as it were, and what each is usually used for. Colons. Colons are fairly easy to remember, so I'll start there. Most often, it's to join 2 ideas that can easily be 2 sentences on their own into 1 sentence. Also, it's used to head a list. Here's an example of the 2 to 1 sentence combo. It was a lovely day. Unfortunately, this made no difference to the current difficulty plaguing Benji's life. Example of a list colon. He couldn't decide who on his revenge list to kill first. Kate, Bashir, Doggo, the person who invented toast, Santa. Semicolons. Now, a lot of people have trouble with semicolons, and this is probably because they tend to fall into that gray area between colons and commas. Semicolons can function a lot like either one. I'd put them closer to a colon, though, as they usually stick 2 ideas together in the same sentence. The difference is the second part does not function so well on its own. It needs the first part. Here's an example of the semicolon. Perhaps Bashir didn't deserve revenge as much as the rest. Then again, he had used the last of the coffee grounds, which truly was an unpardonable sin. Commas. Commas also have a similar function to their colon brethren, which you've probably guessed by now. They serve to hold different ideas together within the same sentence. But where semicolons are looser than colons, commas are looser still, like, "Hey man, you want to string those ideas together? That's cool." Commas put together 2 or more related ideas, all of which belong together with no chance to run off and form their own sentence. They're usually fragments and do not belong on their own. Example. Doggo was perhaps the most obvious choice, given his predilection for Nilla wafers, and also the dubious success of his garden gnome operation back in Nam. A good and also fun way to think of these 3 are as siblings. Colons are like the eldest child. They have a definite job, they understand its parameters, and they don't normally have a problem doing it. Semis are the middle children. They're not always clear on what their job is, and they don't always feel like doing it, but when they do it, they usually knuckle down and do it well. Commas are definitely the youngest sibling, bouncing here and there with abandon. Do they belong in the sentence? Maybe, maybe not. Do they care? Who knows, because they ran off 3 minutes ago and you can't find them. Oh wait, there they are, hanging from the chandelier, and you're yelling and they can't hear you, or maybe they are ignoring you. Oh well, they'll come down when they get tired. In short, just let them do what they want. You'll clean up the mess later. Did I mention I have kids? Now don't worry if you don't have kids and you're going, "What the ever-loving blue-eyed heck is she talking about?" I know that's just how you'd say it too. The preceding was not my actual exercise, although if it was helpful to you, feel free to stop the video here. The exercise is as follows. Read out loud. Now, how can that help? Like so. When you read out loud in an easy, natural tone, you put in pauses. Now, that's what all these things, colons, semis, commas, that's what they stand for, are different types of pauses. So let's look at each one again and break it down. A colon is normally a decent-sized pause, about a beat's worth. Let me read this example again. It was a lovely day. Unfortunately, this made no difference to the current difficulty plaguing Benji's life. 1 beat, perhaps 2, depending how fast you count. That plus the way your voice reads it should tip you off. When the first part of your sentence seems to herald, to declare the coming of the second part of your sentence, that is when you should put in a colon. Semis. Let's say half a beat for semis. I'll read the example again. Perhaps Bashir didn't deserve revenge as much as the rest. Then again, he had used the last of the coffee grounds, which truly was an unpardonable sin. And finally, commas. Scarcely a pause at all, roughly a quarter of a beat, very subtle, just slightly enough that you know it's there. Example. Doggo was perhaps the most obvious choice, given his predilection for Nilla wafers, and also the dubious success of his garden gnome operation back in Nam. And as ever, listen to your voice as you read. Is your tone going up? Is it going down? Is it kind of staying level, or does it sound like it's predicting something more to come? Now, these are slight differences. It's going to take time and practice to get the hang of. But once you do, it can make it a lot easier to figure out what goes where, and that's going to make a big difference to your writing. I hope this video has helped you out. If it did, give us a like, and by all means, leave a comment. What tricks do you use to corral commas and their unruly brethren? Be sure to subscribe if you haven't, and click that bell icon to be sure you're staying updated on all our latest videos. I will see you next time, and until then, stay weird.